Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Stories and Art Live with the Norton Museum of Art here in West Palm Beach, Florida. My name is Rebecca Smekla. I'm here from Educational Technology, and I'd like to welcome you all. A few housekeeping rules today. We do have moderators in our chat, so if you have questions, they have a little wrench by their name, and they are happy to answer your questions. This session is in dual language, so we have English and Spanish here today. Please, please, please use appropriate language in our chat today. Nightbot is active, and he will delete your comments if you do anything inappropriate. And another thing that Nightbot doesn't like is all caps, because that signals that you're kind of yelling. So even if you do something that's really cool and you're like, that's awesome, but you put it in all caps, it might get deleted. So use that appropriate language and have fun. Want to welcome to the screen Meredith and Veronica from the Norton Museum of Art. Welcome, ladies. We're so excited to have you here with us today.
Hi, thank you, Rebecca.
Hi, thank you, and bienvenidos.
Welcome to the Norton Museum of Art. My name is Meredith, and we're really excited to be offering the Stories in Art Live program as part of Literacy Week in collaboration with the School District of Palm Beach County. As Rebecca said, this is a dual language program. I'm live downstairs in the galleries, and my colleague Veronica is upstairs in the Norton offices. I'll be doing the portion in English, and she'll be doing the portion in Spanish.
Hola Meredith y gracias. Bienvenidos al Museo de Arte de Norton. Mi nombre es Verónica Hatch y estoy muy contenta de estar compartiendo historias de arte en vivo con ustedes. Como parte del programa de Semana de Alfabetización en colaboración con el Distrito del Condado de Palm Beach. En este tour, como podrán saber, estamos en inglés y en español. Meredith está en vivo en las galerías y yo estoy desde acá arriba en las oficinas. ¿Van a poder empezar, Meredith?
So, we're in an art museum, and as an art museum, we have all different types of art, from sculpture that you can walk all the way around, to paintings, to ancient Chinese objects, to photography. And today, we are in a special exhibition by the artist, Maria Berrio, and we're going to be looking at one work of art by that artist. This tour is all about participation. You can use the chat to answer questions and to make observations. Or if you prefer, you can use a piece of paper and you can write your answers in front of you as well. But make sure you do have a pencil and a piece of paper ready for the end of this tour, because we're going to be doing a really fun activity.
Sí, como saben, estamos en el Museo de Arte de Norton. En un museo de arte tenemos muchísimas obras que coleccionamos, desde esculturas, pinturas, que son 3D, 2D, ¿verdad? Diferentes maneras de observarlas, fotografía, hasta objetos chinos en las galerías. Hoy día lo que queremos hacer es asegurarnos que pueden darnos sus observaciones por el medio del chat. Y si no se sienten tan cómodos en hacer eso, pueden tener un papel y un lápiz a la mano para que puedan hacer sus propias observaciones. Lo más importante es que este tour es acerca de su participación. Queremos que compartan con nosotros sus observaciones.
So, did you know that visual artists, can tell stories just like writers? They use different ways to tell stories to express their experiences with life through art.
Así como María Berrio, ¿verdad? La artista que vamos a estar viendo de esta exhibición especial hoy día en el Norte, los artistas visuales como María, ¿verdad? Son muy parecidos, como los pintores, escultores y fotógrafos, son muy parecidos a los escritores que escriben libros, ¿verdad? La diferencia es que vemos cosas visualmente versus leer, en comparación, leer las palabras, ¿verdad?
An artist can tell all different types of stories. They can tell stories that are based in real life, nonfiction stories. They can tell stories that are based on imagination, fiction stories, or they can tell a mix of both, fiction and nonfiction. So we're going to investigate this artist and think about how she tells her stories based on her life.
Así es, diferentes artistas usan diferentes formas de contarnos historias personales o partes de cosas que quieren compartir, ¿verdad? Estas historias pueden ser reales o imaginarias, ¿verdad? Ficción o no ficción, o pueden ser una mezcla de las dos.
So we're going to ask you a question first about your experience with stories. Can you think of a story that's been retold to you through a family member or a friend? Or maybe you have a favorite book. If so, tell us in the chat in English or Spanish. We'd love to hear what's your favorite story.
Así es. Ahora los invitamos a que compartan la primera respuesta de la pregunta. ¿Puedes pensar en alguna historia que te han contado o que alguien te haya leído o pasada de familia o tal vez tu libro favorito? Estaremos leyendo las respuestas en el chat.
Okay, Veronica, let's see what people are talking about. What are your favorite stories?
Los invitamos a que compartan. ¿Tienen algún libro favorito, alguna historia? Yo puedo recordar de muchas, no solamente de mi infancia, pero también la que les cuento a mis hijos.
I know you were telling me a really fun, one of your favorite stories the other day about a box.
Yeah, la cajita. Yeah. I was also saying that I have many, not only memories from that, but also a lot of my kids' favorite stories, like Harry Potter or yeah. So I think we can think about that story per se, Meredith, and think about how it actually comes. Harry Potter, someone like that. Meredith, ¿alguien está relacionando la historia de Harry Potter?
Yeah, we always get a lot of responses saying that people love Harry Potter, and another big one is Frozen. And so movies, you can tell stories visually through movies and TV shows as well. And both of these use fantasy, right, Veronica? They use fantasy to create their stories.
Así es, son dos historias. Harry Potter habla de historias fantásticas, ¿verdad? Y historias también de personajes reales.
Okay, anything else you're seeing, Veronica, or want to share about stories?
No, I think we can begin.
Oh, I see Monica says that good night.
Yeah, good night, Moon.
That to my
Good
daughter.
night,
So stories can have an emotional response to it too. And in fact, we're going to explore how this artist is not only talking about her life, but special and personal times in her life. And Good Night Moon is a big part of my life right now with my daughter. And other people like Harry Potter too.
Así es, así que vamos a empezar hablando del artista en particular que tenemos en la exhibición en este momento.
Okay, are we ready to head to the work of art?
We are ready. Let's go.
Let's go.
Meredith se va a mover. Meredith is moving along. So you can see the name of the artist there on the wall. She is actually just moving around because she's going to station herself right in front of the work of art. Meredith está moviendo el carro y lo va a poner al frente de la obra de arte que vamos a explorar el día de hoy.
My cart
We're
wants to
almost
run away from
there.
me. Here we go.
Hacia ahí. Gracias, Meredith. Thanks, Meredith.
Veronica, I'm seeing a lot of really wonderful responses come in. People love stories about history, and artists tell stories about history. People love mythological stories. A book called Rules by Cynthia Lord. So keep on responding in the chat. We're not going to be able to answer every single thing that we see, but what's important is that you all are seeing each other's responses too.
Así es, hay muchas respuestas. No vamos a poder responder a todas sus respuestas, pero definitivamente las estamos viendo y es una oportunidad para que ustedes también compartan lo que otra gente está escribiendo.
Okay, so here we are in front of the work of art. Thank you so much for sharing in the chat. It's really great to see your responses. So let's come together and discover the story behind this work of art. I'm behind the picture because I really want you to focus on the work of art.
Así es, Meredith está detrás del carro, ¿verdad? No nos están viendo porque queremos que se enfoquen directamente en la obra.
So what does it take to look at a work of art? Today, we're going to explore this painting by the Colombian artist Maria Berrio, and we're going to follow 3 easy steps. We're going to see with our eyes. We're going to think, we have to use that brain, and we're going to wonder to try to figure out what else you're curious about.
Entonces, vamos a comenzar. ¿Qué realmente se necesita para ver una obra de arte? Es muy fácil. Vamos a explorar esta pintura de la artista colombiana María Berrio, ¿verdad? Vamos a seguir 3 pasos muy sencillos. Primero, vamos a ver, vas a usar tus ojos. Segundo, vas a pensar, vas a usar tu cerebro y tu cabeza para pensar lo que has visto. Y número 3, vamos a tener curiosidad y quiero que tengan curiosidad, más curiosidad y pregunten qué más pueden aprender de esta pieza.
Okay, so let's see. Use your eyes to scan this work of art. We'll take about 30 seconds to just look. Guide your eyes all around this work of art. Make sure to move your eyes around the entire image, looking up and down and side to side. There's a lot to see. Do you notice your eyes focusing on a specific place? Notice all the details. Challenge yourself to keep your eyes on this work of art for a full 30 seconds. And when you think you've seen everything, challenge yourself to find something new.
Gracias, Meredith. Usa tus ojos para escanear la obra de arte. Nos tomará unos 30 segundos en mirar. Guía tus ojos alrededor de la obra. Asegúrate de moverlos alrededor de toda la imagen, mirando hacia arriba, hacia abajo, hacia los lados. Hay tanto que ver. Nota cómo tus ojos se enfocan en un lugar específico. Observa los detalles. Desafíate a ti mismo para mantener tus ojos en la obra durante unos segundos más.
So we're going to take a couple more seconds to look closely at the work of art.
Unos segundos más.
Okay. So we want to invite you to look even closer and pretend that you're entering this space. Let's enter it all together. You can decide which way to go in. If you want to go into the painting, whoop, from the top, from the bottom, where's my hand? From the side. So pretend like you're entering this space and notice all that surrounds you.
Así es, entra el espacio por donde tú decidas. Desde arriba, tal vez decides entrar por el centro. Yo estoy entrando por la parte izquierda de la parte de abajo de la pintura. Tú decides.
Sorry, Veronica. What is the first thing that you see? Or what do you notice about this painting? And you can respond in the chat in English or Spanish.
Sí, van a ver la pregunta en inglés primero y les preguntamos, ¿qué es lo primero que ves? ¿Qué notas de esta pintura? Compartan en el chat.
Okay, so we'll give a couple of seconds to let people respond in the chat. So what do you see? Oh, Veronica, someone sees the lamp.
The lamp.
I'm actually going to start. What's really cool about this webcam that I have?
Clothing being hanged, ropa colgada, una lámpara. And we've taught these before on other tours, and we always see people talking about the clothing. La ropa, la lámpara.
I noticed that the lamp, Veronica, and the clothes are kind of the thing that people go to most when they look at this work of art. It's something that they notice first. There's a bunch of clothes on the clothesline.
An alleyway, walkway in the city.
Ooh, I'm going to zoom out so we can see that.
Un pasaje en la ciudad.
And I wonder what tells you that it's a city, right? We're kind of noticing these clothes on the clothesline. We're noticing what almost looks like apartment buildings or condos on each side hanging the clothes.
Los balcones, the balcony. Sí, Meredith. Alguien, la persona que se dio cuenta de que parece una ciudad, ¿verdad? Aparte de ser otra cosa, una ciudad en un alley. Las texturas de las telas, the textures on the clothing, Meredith.
Okay, well, we're getting at some of our vocabulary words. So
textura,
the
texture.
the way that we look at works of art is that we can think about the elements of art and how artists use those to tell a story. So, someone mentioned texture. Texture is one of our vocabulary words, and the artist has used texture and color to create these clothing and to create this scene.
Así es, una forma que podemos ver cómo admirar una obra de arte y observarla más es guiándonos por los elementos del arte, ¿verdad? Tenemos línea, color, textura, ustedes ya mencionaron una de ellas, y es una forma donde podemos enfocarnos y saber más acerca de esta obra. Meredith.
So in Spanish, Veronica mentioned some really other elements of art like line, shape, color. We notice these lines that she is creating to show us that these clothes are hanging in this, what looks like the street. We see these really intricate lamps here. Somebody even said it looks like Havana, Veronica.
Yes, that it looks like Habana en Cuba. Sí, a mí me recuerda mucho Ernesto. Hola, Ernesto. Sí, Ernesto says it looks like Havana.
So I love that.
Cuba.
I love that you're already thinking about the setting, where this might be. And we're also noticing the people too. Some people are noticing some people down below, and we'll talk about them more in just a minute because they're an important part of the story.
Yeah, and I'll say this in English and then go back, but I think color, Meredith, we can focus also besides all the texture and the lines where like the clothing is hanging, ¿verdad? Los colores y las líneas donde la ropa está colgada. I think someone mentioned the lamp, and I think the color has to do with that, right? It's drawing us to that. El color de las lámparas que alguien mencionó al principio nos lleva a observar estos objetos.
Absolutely. So we're seeing a lot of colors, that dark black colors, drawing our eyes to these beautiful lamps that almost make you feel like you're in Havana, in Cuba. We have all of these clothes on a clothesline. And what we want to ask you is, can you describe the textures in this painting? What other things do you notice about the textures and the colors?
Sí, hemos hablado tanto de todos estos elementos del arte, ¿verdad? Ahora enfoquémonos en la textura y los colores. ¿Qué patrones ves? ¿Qué texturas? Compartan con nosotros qué más ven de estos elementos del arte.
Oh, people are saying that it seems like people are washing their clothes outside. They're noticing the two women. Texture is really important. I'm going to zoom into this work of art and try to think about what this might be made out of, what this work of art might be made out of. When I zoom in, it might be a little more obvious. Let's see. I'm going to zoom into this section here.
Meredith está enfocándose, ya que estábamos viendo, hay tantos patrones y tantas texturas que ver, hay tanto que ver, ¿verdad? Y me está enfocándose porque queremos que compartan con nosotros, se enfoquen en de qué creen que está hecha esta obra. ¿De qué creen que está hecha esta obra? Esta pieza.
Somebody's saying it's all different types of textures.
Diferentes texturas, right. ¿Verdad? De todo.
And this specifically, Veronica, you know this artist makes her work of art with paper.
Así es. We just had someone mention that. The clouds look like ripped paper that's glued together again.
Yes,
I'm wondering what that's called.
We notice all of the white clouds. It looks like blue and white paper. We're noticing all these different types of colors in the paper, different types of textures. And when an artist puts different elements all together, like paper, to create a work of art, to create a story, it's called collage.
Una palabra it's collage. Quería mencionar, alguien dijo que la parte de atrás azul con blanca parecían diferentes papeles rotos y puestos juntos otra vez. Y es así, esta es una técnica que se usa en arte que se llama collage.
And this artist uses all different types of papers from different countries in the world. So you might even notice papers that remind you of various countries that you've been to or learned about. I'm noticing a piece of paper up here, which reminds me of Asian cultures. And she doesn't just use paper, Veronica, right? She uses pencil to sketch out her story and her scene. And then she uses these tiny pieces of paper to create her collage. And she also paints over her work of art as well.
Ya, su trabajo es muy, muy meticuloso. Ella no solamente usa diferentes texturas de revistas y corta el papel y lo pinta, son papeles que vienen de diferentes partes del mundo. Su técnica es muy, muy, muy dificultosa, pero crea esta imagen muy, muy grande. Meredith, and also to mention quickly, that you know this already, of course, but Maria Berrio calls them paintings and not collage. Could you tell us a little more about that? María
Yeah.
Berrio llama a esta obra pintura, no le dice que es no le llama collage.
Absolutely. And you'll kind of see in just a moment why she might call them paintings too, because she uses different things, like I mentioned, paint and collage together to create her works of art. Veronica, before I zoom into the people, because I know people have been talking a lot about who are these two people at the bottom, I wanted to show you something that shows you the scale of the work of art, which means it shows you the size of the work of art. This is a really large scale work. It's
Meredith está enfrente de la obra porque quiere que vean el tamaño, ¿verdad? Es una obra, no es pequeña, es una obra muy grande.
Absolutely. So think about how much time it took her to take these little tiny pieces of paper and put them in the work. Somebody says when we look at this work up close and we zoom in, it almost looks like it's 3D, which is true. She creates these layers of paper. So when you see it in person, it's really pops.
Así es, alguien dice que parece que fuera 3D, ¿verdad? Que no fuera algo plano, sino algo que tiene dimensión. Y eso lo hacen los artistas con la perspectiva, ¿verdad? Usando esas líneas de diferentes ángulos.
So let's take a look at the characters in this story. Use your eyes to browse for clues. And our next question is, who are the main characters? And what do you notice about them? I'm going to zoom into the bottom of the work of art so that we can really focus on the
Como
characters.
nos estamos enfocando en la segunda parte, ¿verdad? Ya vimos del ambiente, observamos que es una ciudad tal vez con ropa colgando, con balcones, lámparas. Ese es lo que se podría decir el setting, ¿verdad? The setting, el ambiente y dónde está pasando esta historia. Ahora los invitamos a enfocarnos en los personajes. ¿Qué observan de los personajes que están aquí?
So let us know what you think about these characters. Who might they be? What are they wearing? What surrounds them? Make some observations based on what you're seeing and some guesses based on what you're seeing about these characters.
Ahora que estamos enfocados y que Meredith nos ha invitado a ver la parte de abajo de esta obra, piensa, según tú, ¿quiénes son los protagonistas, los personajes principales de esta pintura?
One person said, Veronica, that they're just laying on the floor, which is kind of odd, right? If you all have noticed that we're in a city, we have some apartment buildings and they seem to be laying on the floor. Someone mentioned an alley between these two buildings, which is a little strange.
Así es, alguien comenta que es la ciudad, pero están en el piso, que se ven muy raras, estas dos figuras en el piso con pájaros alrededor. Alguien se acaba de dar cuenta solo de los pájaros. Someone just noticed the birds, Meredith.
Oh, goodness. And I see lots of different types of birds too, Veronica. I see what kind of reminds me of parakeets that I see in downtown West Palm Beach, lying next to the person in the kind of pink looking outfit.
Yeah.
And look at all these little birds. And I even noticed a new bird yesterday, Veronica. And while you speak, I'm going to zoom into a little bird.
What I wanted to say, and then I'll say in Spanish in a bit,
Yeah.
someone mentioned something very important, which is the relationship between these two figures, ¿verdad? Figuras, es parte de su vocabulario también. They seem to be a mom and a daughter, perhaps, and I always think about that connection, right? They seem to be so comfortable. Alguien dijo que parecieran estas dos personas, figuras, que se conocen, ¿verdad? Puede ser una mamá o una hija, porque están tan cerca, intercaladas la una con la otra.
Yeah, it looks like they're taking a siesta. They're very relaxed. So clearly they're two people who seem to know each other and are very relaxed in their setting together. And Veronica, I'm also noticing that we were talking about how she paints. I'm noticing there's some paint over the collage in this work of art too.
Así es, como dice Meredith, puede ser que estén tomando una siesta, ¿verdad? Durmiendo o descansando. Pero enfocándonos tan cerca, estamos viendo los detalles, ¿verdad? Detalles de los pájaros y cómo María usa también pedazos de revistas para crear esas texturas y pinta el papel. Oh, someone said it's a beautiful hummingbird. Es un colibrí muy bonito. Oh,
And
tal vez son amigos de los
yeah,
pájaros, maybe friends with the birds.
yeah, I think maybe they're friends with each other or mom and daughter, and they're friends with the birds too. The birds are very curious about them and laying with them. And I'm also noticing a lot of flowers around this space. So maybe they're at a park. Maybe they're sleeping.
Meredith, if you want to zoom out a little, and
Mhm.
then I think it will be good to see now the whole entirety now that we know so much about the setting and the and the characters. So Meredith va a volver a ver la imagen otra vez para y see if we see it a little differently now that we know. A ver si la vemos
Absolutely.
un poco más diferente cuando vemos todo el ambiente y los personajes.
I'm noticing people are, I think, mentioning the scales on the birds or the feathers on the birds, and it almost looks like an armadillo or some other kind of animal. You're right that they're really textured and detailed. She took this textured paper of feathers and created it to put it on the bird, and she actually sometimes can even take from magazines to
Yeah.
find these images for her works of art.
Sí, alguien mencionó que hay muchos detalles. There's a lot of detail. Yeah, I wish you guys can say what details. It's an alley. Maybe it isn't an alley. It's that
Mhm.
they're sleeping in.
Well,
Así
that
es. Ujú.
Go ahead, Veronica.
No, go ahead, Meredith.
Well, I was going to say that's a great segue into this work of art, what it might be about, and the artist. So, yeah, maybe it's not an alley. It's a little strange how we have a mix of what we call urban or a city setting and nature. It almost reminds you of a park that they're lying in. And this is by an artist, as we mentioned, named Maria Barrio. And Maria Barrio grew up in Bogota, Colombia. She lived in a really big city of Bogota, but she spent her weekends going and escaping the violence and the amount of people in the city. She went her weekends going to a family farm. So nature is very, very important to her. And you'll find in her story, she mixes a lot of urban life, her background in Bogota, with nature.
Así es. María Berrio es una artista colombiana que se mudó de Colombia para venir a los Estados Unidos cuando tenía 18 años. Pero en su tiempo en Colombia, ¿verdad? Es de una ciudad de Bogotá, en Bogotá, muy parecido a donde vengo yo, de Quito, Ecuador. Es una ciudad, ¿verdad? Muy grande, llena de cosas pasando en las calles. Su familia le gustaba mucho ir a la naturaleza. Los fines de semana tenían una granja y un afuera de la ciudad donde iban a experimentar, aprender acerca de las flores, los pájaros, la naturaleza. Y en realidad es donde ahí ella aprendió este amor por compartir y la diferencia entre la vida de la ciudad, ¿verdad? La vida urbana, urban life, una palabra del vocabulario, y la vida de la ciudad.
Absolutely. So, Veronica, you're mentioning the parrots, the flowers, the people lying down there, even wearing flower crowns. So, she likes to imagine herself in nature. And she's here, she's mixing fantasy or fiction with her real life. So, she's taking her life from growing up in Colombia and she's putting her two places where she grew up together to create a story.
Así es, María Berrio está dándonos con toda esta información visual, ¿verdad? Nos está contando dos historias diferentes en una. Su vida en la ciudad en Bogotá, sus recuerdos, ¿verdad? De creciendo en la ciudad, viendo estas ropas colgando, este trabajo de hierro en las lámparas y los balcones, y al mismo tiempo, ¿verdad? Nos cuenta esta historia de su tiempo descansando y aprendiendo a admirar la naturaleza, los pájaros, y son dos mundos diferentes en uno.
And now Maria
Oh, no.
Barrio, she lives in Brooklyn. So she's an immigrant to the United States. She moved here when she was 18. So she tells her life, her story about growing up. And Veronica, I know that you even mentioned that this scene reminds me of where you grew up as well.
Así es, como igual que yo, que llegué acá cuando tenía 20 años, ¿verdad? And when I grew up in Ecuador and came here, my story is very relatable to this, also as an immigrant and as a woman. Así que sí me relaciono mucho con esta historia y esto es una parte de algo que pude haber visto cuando crecí en Ecuador.
Well, Veronica, I know you have an activity, a quick activity that you want to share before we give our last bit of information about Maria Barrio and how you can learn more.
Yes, so we are asking you. The name of this painting is, this is by Maria Berrio, is Tejer en el Viento, Knitting in the Wind, from 2015. And what we're asking you right now is to add on the chat or give us, if you were to give a title to this painting, a new title, your own title, what would it be? Si quisieran darnos vamos a hacer una actividad, si quisieran darle un nuevo título a esta obra, ¿verdad? María Berrio lo llamó Tejer en el Viento. ¿Qué título le pondrían? Dale tu propio título. Comparte con nosotros.
Veronica, just as the questions come or the answers come in, we had somebody on the chat who said that immigrants have a lot of stories to tell. And what I loved is, as an immigrant, that you related to this artist. So what's great about an art museum and art is that we can all find stories about ourselves. And it's also great that as an artist, they get to tell their stories that relate to other people.
Yes, that is true, Meredith. It's so wonderful. I could relate, but in our museums, and especially the Norton, this is one of the many paintings, right? That we could see that you can relate to your story. Como dice Meredith, podemos relacionarnos, hacer conexiones personales con el arte.
So we have to wrap up. I know it's past 10:30, but somebody said that they would call it, I just saw something, Nature's Friend.
And relating it to a story, Meredith, going back to just how we began before we end, someone related to the story of a Sleeping Beauty, right? Such a different story.
Sleeping in beauty, absolutely. Yeah. So these people are sleeping in beauty. They're imagining nature, even when they're in a busy city.
Oh, I'm going to just share that. The Alley in Friends.
Alley Friends.
Yeah.
The Alley Friends, yeah. So maybe they are sleeping in an alley and hanging out together. That's a great story that you're creating in your mind. Well, we are so excited that you participated with us today. If you want to learn more about Maria Barrio, you can go to norton.org, and we have an entire video with Maria Barrio in this gallery talking about her work. So we hope that you visit our norton.org. You can see it on our YouTube channel, and there's also a lot of fun art activities and resources for teachers on our website as well. We're open at the museum every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You can even visit this exhibition and our garden outside. So we hope to see you either virtually or at the museum soon.
Gracias por visitarnos virtualmente. A recordarles que pueden ver la exhibición de María Berrio y otras diferentes obras de arte en el museo. Estamos abiertos de viernes a domingo y pueden también aprender más de María Berrio. Tenemos mucho más contenido en el museo, así también como una charla de ella en el website que está aquí abajo, norton.org.
And someone was asking again for the title. It's Knitting in the Wind from 2015.
Tejiendo en el Viento, 2015.
Bye, everybody. We'll see you soon at the Norton.